Do you like getting paid dollar bills? And you're a tradesman, like HVAC, electrician, whatever, all that stuff. There's a career that not a lot of people know about, and it's called a data center operations technician. As a data center operations technician, okay, first of all, why should you care, right? Because you make big freaking monies here. I went from making $15 an hour to making $50 an hour in 2 years. And I just graduated. I went to the military for HVAC and generators, and I worked freaking HVAC service for about 2 years. And there, it was cool, but I hated my life because I was working 0 degree weather and also like 120 degree weather. Freaking ridiculous. So I was like, well, hey, AI is taking off. I bet people need cooling for their buildings, and I stumbled into data centers. So I feel like it's a responsibility for me to put some guys on, and just share the knowledge, because there is a huge gap in how many people are needed in these freaking buildings versus how many people there are. So you can command pretty good wages. But if you want to stick around and learn about these, I will teach you what a data center is. What is a data center? A data center is a physical, highly secure facility that houses critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure. What's that? This is infrastructure, building blocks of our society that if we did not have, our society would fail. An example, pipelines. If we didn't have pipelines, you would not be able to get gas inside of your car. Cars don't run, right? And then semis don't run, which semis are another critical infrastructure, which is part of transportation, right? Another part of critical infrastructure is like hospitals. But data centers are in their own lane because they don't deal with the physical, they deal with data. And data is physical. That's why it's stored in a physical location. It doesn't feel physical because it's on your phone running in the background, right? You only see the effects of data, but that data goes somewhere. So what does a data center do for a company? What a data center does for a company is that, let's say you go to Walmart, right? You put your card at the kiosk and you're about to buy your beer. That kiosk sends a request to the Walmart data center saying, hey, this guy wants to buy these beers from us. Walmart's like, all right, bet. Does he have enough money? Walmart doesn't know that. It sends a request to your bank, and your bank says, yep, he's got enough money. Your bank sends money to Walmart, and Walmart says, yep, he can have that. And that happens in literally milliseconds. That's what data centers are for. So if you didn't have that right there, that's one transaction, and you used freaking millions worth of infrastructure right there. One transaction. And how many transactions happen in a day? Billions of transactions happen in a day. That's why data centers are needed. Without data centers, you don't have Netflix, you don't have Paramount, you don't have Google, your hospitals don't run as efficiently, right? You don't have the internet. You're back in the freaking Stone Age. And not a lot of people know about these things. They are very, very important. Anyways, what are you gonna do as an operator in a data center? Your job is not to fix things. Your job is to do what the data center does for the data, to keep the data center alive. Inside of the data center, there's these things called racks. They are what's most important inside of the data center right there. The rack is what you're keeping alive, because without these racks, which are servers or storage devices, then all of this Walmart stuff in your bank, all of this stuff just does not work. All right, your job is to keep these racks alive. And how do you keep those racks alive? You use two systems: electricity, and you use cooling. Why? Electricity, obviously, to keep things on, right? And you have to know how much your data center takes and how much it puts out, right? And cooling, even more important than electricity, because without electricity, these racks, they're just off, right? There's no business happening, but the racks are just off. Without cooling, these racks are on, but they're getting fried. So not only do you not have business right now, you will not have business later. So cooling is an extremely important part of data centers. There's different types of data centers. There's enterprise data centers, which mean that a company builds its own data center and uses it to do its business. There's hyperscale data centers where multiple companies rent out one space from, let's say, a provider. Let's say it's Ricochet Data Center 2, right? And Amazon, Google, etc., they want to come to me to borrow my space, to rent out my space so I can run their stuff. I need a guy who's going to be in here to ensure that my money keeps coming in by keeping this stuff on. And I'm going to pay him freaking good money because I know he's going to, what he's bringing, what value he's producing, right? And then there's, after hyperscale data centers, is AI data centers. Now these ones are crazy. Imagine you have a data center that's one building, right, serving one company. For AI, there's 20 of these freaking buildings. It's a lot. I worked at one of those. It is stressful, but it's a good time. You get to learn a lot of stuff. The problem with data centers is that while you're on the job, nothing is supposed to go wrong. So your job is to monitor, respond, right? Monitor and respond. That's your main business. Monitor, know how your data center works, respond if something messes up. But you're not fixing that shit. You don't got the expertise to fix that shit, man. You do not. What you have the expertise of doing is escalating, which means you tell somebody, like a vendor, which means somebody who can come and fix it, right? And they come and fix it as fast as possible to keep this whole thing alive, this whole freaking operation alive, right? That is your job at a data center. But as I was saying, the problem with data centers is that you don't have a lot of options to train with because nothing ever really goes wrong. And if it does go wrong, it gets fixed pretty freaking fast, but only very few and in between times do things go wrong in data centers. So there's no way to really train about it. So why I'm creating these courses, these freaking videos from the courses that I've learned is to help you understand. If you ever get to an interview or if you ever get into your job, you can always come back here and understand the different failure modes for different data centers, because I've worked at different data centers and different things have happened to me and I've been able to keep things alive. And with that experience, that's how you command this type of money. And this is not, it's not even maxed out, dog. It's not even close to max out, right? I think max is like freaking 80 an hour or some shit like that. It's ridiculous, freaking crazy. And there's a lot of different paths you can also take, you know, if you go this route of a data center, right? You can learn how to build the actual data centers, and that career is at least $200K a year, right? You can be a chief engineer. That's also a fucking freaking bunch of money, right? You can be a consultant. That's also a freaking top bunch of money. And guess what? Technology is not going anywhere, man. Nowhere. If anything, it's just getting bigger and bigger. And guess what happens when you just keep getting technologicalized? You just need more data centers, more data centers, more data centers. You know what I'm saying? And guess what you need for more data centers? People to run those data centers. So, yep. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you in the next one.